I'm going to give you the sections and what I've learned recently on keeping a journal. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This way of journaling is not my way of journaling. I found on YouTube a guy by the name of Clark Kegley, and his video said the ultimate guide to keeping a journal. And I clicked on it, and he introduced me to this form of journaling. And I followed a link of his, which took me to a landing page called My Journal 2.0. And I purchased this program. It was like $67. And there's modules. There's like 3 modules that are broken down into sections, which explains exactly the way to keep a journal. And today I'm going to introduce you to that way of journaling. A lot of the great minds that we know of kept a journal. I mean, if you think of Socrates, if you think of Albert Einstein, modern day Bill Gates, some of the top people, the elites, have kept journals for a very, very long time. And I do believe that journaling is so important and can be a way to coach yourself and be a way to really put some thoughts and ideas on paper, and then a place to be accountable as well to those thoughts. So here's a little sneak peek on how I started keeping this journal. Okay, the first thing I did was I went and I ordered a journal, the journal that Clark actually recommended. I said, okay, if I'm going to follow this guy's his process, I'm going to follow it the way he does it, right? So I went onto his page and I clicked and I ordered this journal. And if you are interested in ordering this journal, you can look at the link in the description below and you can check it out for yourself. But I'm going to break this down for you as best as I can to go there. The first thing that he has you do is right on the inside, or right on the pages there, you kind of write the year and a word. He writes his name. I actually wrote a word for the year of 2022. My word for the year is purpose. Everything that I'm doing this year is going to be filtered through the word of purpose. I want my life to have purpose. I want to do it purposefully, and I want to make sure the things that I'm doing and the actions that I'm taking have purpose, intentionality. So I don't want things to be on accident. I don't want things to be spontaneous. Although in life that happens, I get that, but I do believe that we can do things on purpose. So that's the first thing that he has you do. Now, if we open this up, you're going to see, and I'm going to let you in just on a little bit of stuff, but you're going to see this actually was a gift. My parents got me this. I guess I didn't order this from Clark's thing. That's right. My parents gave me this for Christmas. And when you first open the page, this is what is called the North Star. These are the big ideas, the things that you're learning throughout the year, and you throw them down. You'll see here, okay, 32,850 days. 32,850 days from the time a person is born until you're 90 years old. That's how many days you live. And I went ahead and broke it down, and I've lived 13,505 days so far, roughly. And if I'm going to make it to 90 years old, I've got a little over 19,000 days left. And I put in here, teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. That's a quote right out of the Bible of Psalms 90:12. And so I wrote that down, but there's some quotes here. What one can be, one must be. That's Abraham Maslow. Think of journaling as coaching yourself. I heard that out of Clark's channel. Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. These are just quotes that I've written down that I really felt were that hit my heart, and I wanted to remember them. And this is a page that I will always open up to, and I can always kind of just review quickly and just remember some of these great quotes. Now, this journal, you'll see, I took it and I put tabs in here to just make it easy for myself. But this journal is broken down into sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. This journal is not meant to be a diary. It's not meant to be, dear diary, today's day was great, or today's day was bad. This is what I did today. There's sections. There's certain sections for certain things that are taking place in my life that I want to have purposeful in. So my first section is a gratitude section. It's a place where I can sit down and I can write down 5 things that I'm grateful for that morning or that evening. And so I'll just read one of my sections, and this is kind of what it looks like, right? And I wrote on the other page that there's 4 more ways to have gratitude, 4 more ways to show gratitude. But let's just look at one of my days. So right here, January 1st, 2022, I'm grateful for my wife, my 3 boys. I'm grateful for a new year, friends, and I'm grateful for myself. And I kind of elaborate a little bit on those things. So I write them down, but you kind of see that they're in sections. And so, so that's gratitude, right? And I just section it out, and I do 5 things for the day, and then I kind of move on and go into the next day. The next section is book notes. So what's cool about each section is it's titled with a page where it's kind of cool, where you just write it down to remember that, hey, this section is book notes. And so this section is writing down the top 10% of the books that you read for that year. And if you're reading it and something jumps out at you and it's good enough to go back and read it, if you read it twice because it's that good, that is something that you would want to then transfer into your book note section. So that way, when you want to remember some of the ideas, the big ideas of the books that you read, instead of having to go and search it in the book, you can just refer to your journal, you can refer to your book note section, and you can go back and see the top 10% of the ideas that really hit you out of that book that you read. I haven't started yet because I haven't finished a book and I haven't written anything down. To be honest, I haven't taken the time to do that, but I do plan on doing that. Next section is the growth section. The growth section. And this is an area where there is ideas, big ideas, personal development. This is also a business section. So if you have ideas that you want to pursue and go towards, you'd want to write it down here so that you don't remember, so that you don't forget these big ideas. And the first thing out of the modules that I'm doing with Clark is the very first thing is you do what he calls a goal setting workshop. And he breaks down how to have an ultimate goal setting workshop. And goals, he breaks down into 3 areas: goals in your work life, in your restful life, and in your play and adventure life. And so I wrote down some top goals out of each section, and then I go back and I date those. So how long, so I put a finish date on each one of those goals for accountability. So I can look back and I can go, okay, did I go to the gym 3 times a week? Right? Because that's one of my rest goals. And I know that sounds funny. You're going to the gym for rest, but rest is really self-growth, it's health, it's relationships, it's family, it's things that feed your life, that it's like self-care type stuff, right? And then like for play goals, right? This year, I want to do a 7-day surf trip with some buddies down in California and down in Mexico. And so I write that down. I want to visit Hawaii, visit my friend in Hawaii, Kevino, and go to Park City with my buddy Corey. These are goals that I have kind of for fun, for travel, for play. And so you write those down. But then when you pass that, you can, I'm trying to turn these pages here, but then here's like some ideas. I was listening to a guy on YouTube, Sean Cannell, who talks about growing a YouTube channel and things like that, since that's obviously something I'm doing. But he had a whole like workshop, and I just had my journal out and I started writing down some of these big ideas that he was talking about in my journal so that I can always refer back to it. So the growth section is a great section. I definitely see myself continuing to write in this a lot. The next section is a brain dump section. Brain dump is an area where you just, whatever's on your mind. Maybe it is something that you need to vent and get out. Maybe it's an issue or a problem that you're having that you're really trying to process through, and you just write it down. And think of it as, what advice would I give someone else in my same situation? And so I'm writing down a situation that I find myself currently in, and I write down I don't know, about a quarter of the way down the page. You'll see different colored pens too. And by the way, if you want some pens, you can look in the description below and you can use the pens. I love the pens. They're G2 Pilots that I use. They're perfect for journaling. And I get a bunch of different colors so that way I can kind of just section things out. But you'll see in blue is my problem area. That's where I'm like, okay, this is the situation that I'm in. These are the thoughts that I'm having. These are, some of the negative thoughts or whatever. And then green is all the solution or the advice that I would give someone else. And so this area is such a great way to coach yourself and really process through. You don't want to sit here and dwell and be blue. That's why I put my problems in blue because, I'm just blue, I'm blue. And then green is like, let's go. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sit and dwell in my problems. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself some advice here, and I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to look at this and really start to process through to see how I can push through these issues. Because a lot of the issues that I'm having or the thoughts that I'm having aren't even true. They're feelings, and feelings we know aren't facts. Next is the online video section. For me, this is what I've done, but you can do something else. I mean, you can do maybe there's a big business idea that you have. You don't have to do online video. You can do a different type of section, but having to do with something, a big goal that you're pursuing or a big idea that you're pursuing. Maybe it's just business section, what I want to do for my career. Maybe you have great ideas. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel and it is an online video section. But this is where I'm writing down, for me in my journal, I write down the ideas that I have for the YouTube content. You'll see a little sneak peek into some of my YouTube ideas. I have them there. And I write that down. And then I write down the actual one, right? The how to overcome fear. We've already seen that video, hopefully. And if you haven't, go back and check it out. It's a pretty cool video on how to overcome fear. And then finally, section number 5. And you can have more than 6 sections. I said section number 5, but I meant 6, is a freedom section. This is obviously just a free writing section where I'm writing down maybe some memories. Like the other day, my wife and boys went up to Flagstaff, Arizona, and we went tubing. And I tell you, it was the funnest time I've had in a long time. And I didn't even really tube that much. I went down a few of the sleds, but I was just enjoying that moment being a dad and watching my boys experience sledding down a big giant inner tube down the snow for the first time. And it's something I definitely am putting in my journal to remember and look back on and enjoy. And then finally, the very back, just like the very front is the North Star, the very back of the book is big goals for 2022. These are the big goals that I want to look back on and say, okay, did I accomplish this in 2022? And so it's a quick open, and I can just look at it and I can start marking things off and enjoying that. So anyway, that is the ultimate guide to keeping a journal. And again, a little secret, not my way of doing it. If you are interested in learning more about it or even going through the process with Clark, I will link his My Journal 2.0 in the description below, and you can feel free to check that out if you want. It's been really fun for me to kind of pursue and kind of adventure out into. And so if that's something that you're interested in and you want to do it, I would absolutely recommend it. And so that's what I got for you guys today. And I hope you have a great day wherever you are. And of course, be blessed.